Do you feel that now is still a moment of growth for New York VC side of things?
Well, now I mean, it's funny that it's New York Tech Week because I feel like every week is New York Tech Week. We are in really an explosive period of growth. And, when we started the firm, New York was this sort of very tight little tech ecosystem. I felt like I knew every founder building something. And it's been this steady drumbeat for over a decade now. And it does not feel like it's stopping. And every day there's another sort of West Coast VC or, VC from other market that's setting up shop and trying to hire in the market. And I think that this is an amazing place to build a company. And I don't think anyone really questions that anymore.
It's interesting that that's happening in a time in the current economic environment where people are worried about, well, the growth capabilities of certain companies and the access to capital. Why do you think it's been able to grow, bring over the Sequoias, the Andreessens, in a moment where we're kind of in a downturn?
Yeah, I think that part of it is personal decisions that founders make. This is a great place to live. It's an incredibly high quality of life. There's amazing diversity. There's so many interesting people. Every industry has some foothold here. And so, it starts with talent. And I also think New York has generally had a pretty aggressive posture in trying to make this a hospitable place for companies to come and build. This is also the home of so many large industries, whether it's healthcare or financial services. This is a place where, media, commerce, sort of the powers that be are here. And so it makes sense to build in this market. And now with more access to capital here, I think it makes it an even better place for people to come and build.
Ben, it's interesting because you mentioned all those areas of, well, big institutions, big companies that are already, and ultimately industries that have grown here, and the thriving ecosystem around them. I mean, I think of some of the companies you backed, Oscar Health, of course, aligning itself with the healthcare industry that's here in New York. We think of Resi, a consumer company that you've backed. Again, we think of some of the other areas of the consumer, Warby Parker and the like. What is thriving here at the moment? Is it the time to be putting money behind consumer companies, given the consumer's in a worrying place? Is it more of a time for fintech to grow? Do you think it's all of the above?
I don't think that there is a sort of industry or area that is specifically, I mean, certainly for us, an area of focus. We're very early stage investors. We're focused on talent primarily. There is certainly some softness with the consumer, although I think that the reason that consumer companies are more challenging to build these days is less macroeconomic consumer issues and actually more just the fact that so many consumer companies got built with a sort of similar playbook, a lot of the same sort of advertising strategies, a huge over-reliance on a few large social media platforms that have been flooded with brands that were flooded with VC dollars. It just grew too quickly. And so I think that there's been a big cleanup and sort of adjustment in what's happened in the sort of direct-to-consumer commerce space. These things go in cycles. In my heart, I love consumer. We've done very well with consumer over the years. And while we're doing less these days than we have in some past cycles, I don't feel like that's a permanent change. I feel like that's a cyclical one. And, we continue to want to find great consumer companies.
Do all companies have to be AI companies at the moment?
At the moment, if you're an AI company, it's certainly helpful in terms of how a bunch of the mid and late stage VCs and frankly, a lot of early stage VCs will view you. AI is both the most exciting, change in technology that we've seen in the last decade, and also a hype cycle. Deals are overvalued. There's going to be a bunch of value destruction. There's also going to be some extremely important companies that get built right now. And I think with anything, it's a place to play, but it's also a place to show restraint. And you need to make sure that whatever your business model is as a fund, you don't violate the principles of what your model is when there's a space that people get excited about.